Hey everybody, I'm Mark Friedenberg. I'm the director of the CIS Sandbox, and I'm asked because I'm actually in the CIS Sandbox today. It's in Smith 234. I want to welcome you to, this is the third week of our speaker series. And this week we have two speakers joining us, Matt Somma and Rahil Chowda. Matt was one of the first tutors that worked in the CIS Sandbox.
Awesome. So as Mark just detailed out, my name is Matt Somma. I was a tutor, I think back in 2011 was the first year I started. I just finished my IT 101 class. I applied for a job at the CIS tutor facility, which it actually was prior to the Sandbox. Back then, they didn't really allow any CIS minors in to be tutors at the time, but they realized that they had a gap in mentoring people that were IT 101. So I actually decided to minor myself in computer information systems at the time in order to kind of focus on that IT 101 market, and quickly realized that CIS really well augmented my marketing skills. So this presentation today is squarely focused on how computer information systems technology can overall help you with being a better marketer, and really how it helped me kind of in the job market. So there was the introduction, just a couple different things about me. It's always good to have a slide where you get to talk about yourself, but I like a myriad of different things. I'm a photographer on the side. I'm a skydiver as well. I like to travel. I like wood burning. So myriad of different things, kind of all that I took back into it, but kind of some critical key pieces that I really enjoyed from a technology side was especially photography, video editing, digital design, all things that, as soon as I started minoring in computer information systems, I really started to bring back into the marketing world. And that was me if you can tell, that was me in the white. That was the second person jumping out of the plane there. That was last weekend. So Mark asked me to speak today. He said, what am I up to? Some cool things that I'm doing or have done, and then how minoring in CIS or IT has helped me. And, I think that we don't hire, correct me if I'm wrong, too many marketing majors as computer tutors. I'd say I'm probably an enigma in that standpoint because I really like technology and I kind of came into Bentley already knowing a couple of computer languages myself, but have since been an advocate for the fact that it really does help you become a better marketer overall. So we use a term at my current agency right now called the simple human irrefutable truth, or the shit. It's kind of getting down to the actual insight. I don't know if Mark, you'll have to edit out me using some expletives on a class presentation, but that simple human irrefutable truth is I haven't had a single job so far or a single career interaction that I haven't utilized my CIS minor in some capacity. So it's something that's paid dividends over and over again, and there hasn't been a single time that I haven't used it to date. So to kind of bring that to life, where I've been, little timeline. So I went to Bentley, started in 2009, graduated in 2013. I had a major in marketing and I double minored management in CIS. Did all the typical things a Bentley student would do. I was really involved in CAB, got to meet all the Spring Day artists, which is always fun. I was a tutor, and then pretty good college experience there. But while I was at Bentley, I actually did 4 internships. One was at Entercom Communications. I think it's since folded, but some of the larger radio stations in the nation all fall under Entercom. Digitas is one of the largest global agencies in the world, and then 2 other smaller local Boston agencies. So I did about 4 of them and did everything from technology enablement, brand strategy, to at one point I was throwing chocolate coins off the back of a truck at small children as they swarmed our truck at a St. Patrick's Day parade. So kind of a myriad of different things, and it's kind of what you get when you go into internships with marketing. I actually graduated, and if anybody is getting near graduation or worried about graduation or graduating without a job, I graduated jobless, which is a little bit different than most Bentley folks, but not totally uncommon for a marketing major. But found my way over to Reebok. I actually took on a role there as a global social media analyst and strategist. It was a 12-month apprenticeship program, so it was pay no benefits. We'll get into some of these a little bit deeper, but basically huge involvement in technology, and really one of the key pivotal reasons why I was hired there originally. I made my way to Adidas, or as they say in the rest world, Adidas. I worked there for about 3 or 4 years, and I was in charge of the United States market for NCAA marketing. That covered everything from retail to social to strategy, design, photo shoots, sales meetings. It was kind of a one-man show there. And then most recently, I was at an agency up in Newburyport. I was a business development manager for a strategic branding agency. Our clients are someone like Saucony, Liberty Mutual, some smaller Boston tech firms, but really mostly New England firms. And I was in charge of pitches. So if anybody's familiar with the agency world, I was in charge of collecting information in order to win business. So kind of a sales role. So kind of across the board, smattering of different marketing experiences. That was me circa 2013. So marketing embarrassed me, so I won't go through that picture too much, but I was kind of lost. We had just actually branded to the CIS sandbox. It was located in what I would kindly refer to as a dungeon before, kind of a dark room that nobody ever really went to. So Mark took over, rebranded it. I got to help, I think, a little bit with the design and the technology in it, which was kind of fun. But that was circa 2013. As I said, I kind of progressed to Reebok. Reebok at the time was going through an interesting period. They were going through a rebranding, and they were taking on the tagline of "Be More Human," and that was an interesting time. That actually the logo on the bottom is their new logo, which used to be their old logo, but they had a Delta logo, and it was all about embracing the 3 elements of fitness, which was physical, mental, and social. And it was an interesting time to be at that brand in particular, but really, we all embrace this part about being more human. And how do you do that? We use computers to do just that. So my job title again was Global Social Media Analyst and Strategist. It was basically the longest job title ever. And what I was in charge was for the fitness brand. So upwards of, I'd say it was about 14 or 15 million people globally. I was in charge of creating content on social media. So anything that you saw for Reebok from 2013 to 2014 was written, was responding to comments, doing shoots, activations, brand partnerships, everything under the sun. But, kind of the critical piece. And in the top right-hand corner is actually me in a chicken suit. We decided to, for April Fool's Day, we decided to do a little bit of pranking with a Reebok, bok. Kind of the critical thing here, actually, I'll get to that in a second. For Adidas, again, I was the NCAA Associate Marketing Manager. I was in charge of the US landscape for the sports portfolio. So schools like Nebraska, UCLA, Texas A&M. I covered everything from media buys to brand ambassador programs to building retail stores. So I think this video will just play without sound, but I'll talk over it. Really what I was in charge of doing was connecting the overall brand marketing story on the field. So we would sponsor these schools across the nation that in some cases in some states had more notoriety than the NFL team. And I was connecting it to the retail landscape. So, what do consumers want? They want to buy what's on the field, right? They want jerseys, and that's no different than what you'll see with most sports teams. But I was really that connecting arm between the on-field and locker room and what you see in the store. So really it was about building these retail pieces here. And that covered everything from, I put a smoke machine in a retail store, again, campus ambassador, March Madness, sales meetings, seating boxes, media buys, websites, basically anything that was covered under the guise of marketing. It was kind of a one-man show. And then wrapping up before I get into what I'm up to now at Mechanica, it was a small agency. We're about 38 people or so. Calls for a multifaceted set of skills. So really what that meant was I was kind of a jack of all trades, and we'll go into a couple of specific examples in just a second. But some of the clients that we had, Always, Saucony, Force Point's a cybersecurity company out of Texas, but they call for all sets of skills. So helping out with the website, helping out with SEO, helping out with their CRM system, kind of a smattering. So that's where I've been for the past, since I graduated, for the past 7 years. So what I'm up to, I'm actually an agency now called George P. Johnson. It's George P. Johnson Experiential Marketing. We power brand experiences. So We are one of the largest agencies in the world. This is a reel from a esports reel that we some of the different things. But if you've ever been to South by Southwest or CES, we power those brand experiences. So this gives you kind of a quick taste of what we do. And I specifically work on the IBM account, but kind of a smattering of different brands there. We have a large base in automotive as well as big tech, so Facebook, Adobe, Google, IBM. But again, I work for Big Blue, which a couple of years ago actually was one of the most profitable brands in the globe, even though it seems a little bit old school. We have about 1,300, 1,400 employees worldwide, about 30 different offices. And as I mentioned before, we power brand experiences. So what do I do there? Actually an experience strategist. So I create strategic plans to help elevate our clients' plans across their audience plans. So really it's about getting people that attend experiences, insights in order to drive narrative-driven creative and to further drive that for my global technology client. This was kind of taken from the job posting. This is what I thought I would be doing. And it was, all well and good, especially the fact that I thought I was going to be, creating booths and conferences at CES, South by Southwest, Tribeca Film Festival, some of these larger, 18, 20,000 person conferences. What a great idea. But then COVID hit. So I actually got the job in February. And as you know, we kind of went into lockdown on March 4th. So, just like the rest of the world, the event industry really is learning, what truly makes an experience. And experiences are all virtual now. And I think that's hitting the event industry pretty hard. Anybody that had a trip planned or, had a concert planned, was supposed to, go back to regular classes, has realized that in-person events and in-person experiences are extremely difficult right now. So all experiences are virtual. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're all solely digital. It just means that we have to be more creative about how we create our experiences. So that's a wide range of different things about where I've been. I'm going to dive into some specific examples because I've kind of just been talking about marketing for quite a bit here. So, how will computer information systems make you a better marketer? I think I've got 3 or 4 of these different reasons. Number one, tech and marketing gives you a competitive advantage. So you as a person, recruiters like it. Like I said, I haven't had a single job that hasn't started off with a conversation about my computer background or hasn't come up in an interview. It helps you pick up personal and professional skills a little bit easier, depending upon your interests. We use technology every day, even more now with COVID. And again, recruiters like it. So that actually is how it helps you as a person. As a business, which is what I'll kind of focus on a little bit more, is MarTech, which is obviously marketing technology, lets you connect and understand consumers and customers better and act on insights faster. So really that combination of marketing and technology is the critical point about efficiency and automation, understanding and acting on those insights, which is crucial for someone that's a strategist as myself. It helps you better understand what's possible from technology. So this is kind of key because, you don't necessarily need to be the one building stuff, but if you understand how it's built, then you can better brief someone about what they need to be building, or you can better understand how consumers use it, or you can better understand the time that takes, if you're in product marketing, the time it takes to build a new experience. So overall technology helps you better understand the requirements and the steps. The list goes on for the amount of different capabilities within MarTech, so content management systems, customer relationship, SEO, SEM. Won't go too far into all of those, but generally there's some pretty significant areas within marketing that are really technology born. The fourth point being consumers like good digital experiences. They like, it's how they evaluate brands. And I'll go through a brand slide real quick next, and then tech helps you personalize brand experiences. So, when we think about what a brand is, I think some folks in here are maybe planning to be marketing majors, some aren't. Some are solely focused on computer information systems, but brands are the collection of thoughts, images, sights, sounds, experiences that all make up an image in your head about what you think about a business. So it's a bunch of different things. It's the logo, it's the advertising, it's the marketing, it's the identity. So keeping in mind that though, technology is in each one of these. So trust. You go to complete an e-commerce purchase. consumers are now trained to look in the top left-hand corner of a browser, see if there's a lock symbol to know if it's a trusted site that I'm going to provide my credit card information to. Value. What pain points are they solving? And just in general, technology is basically intertwined into every element of a brand nowadays. And that's been true for all the previous roles I've kind of held. So at Reebok, and I think I mentioned I would dive deep into one example for each. We got to design, similar to how I got to help design the CIS sandbox, a social hub. So we had about 5 or 6 monitors, and we from the ground up stood up some social analytics and monitoring software in order to monitor conversations in real time. It took a while. I kind of got to lead the project by helping out with what are the views we need, what's the information that we need, where is it pulling from, connecting all the dots. Because honestly, with a audience size of 14 million on Facebook and 1 million on various Twitter handles and Instagram, it can get overwhelming when you try to dive into different insights. So having this monitoring software actually helped us to act on insights faster. We got to see what was trending in the marketplace. It helped us make informed creative decisions. So we would notice something, we would brief our creative team in order to create new assets, and then we would get those assets out. So in general, we use technology every single day there. And it was a background in CIS that actually made me the person that kind of got to take the lead on this, because in particular, the way that most of these things work when it comes to analytics has a base in, obviously they're all built-in programs, but it has a base in understanding various computer languages. So understanding how information is pulled, how to segment information, how to dice it up, slice it up, and how to present it in a little bit of a more meaningful way. So I used my background every single day there. Adidas, I think I have 2 examples, but one of the first ones, I worked for the sports license division. As I said, I was NCAA, and I was connecting that on-field brand to the locker room, as well as the store. And I think part of that is you want to be sure that the message that's happening is reflective of what's going on in the field. So we're not going to put a shirt in store that says we're number 1 if the football team has a losing streak because the quarterback got injured and they haven't played or won 5 games. And we unfortunately don't go to the biggest, or didn't go to the biggest sports school. But again, it's kind of religion down in other areas of the country. So that type of thing is very important. So I actually got to develop just in the background. I took a manual process of looking up, blank T-shirts, graphic T-shirts, their images, their inventories. That was a very manual process and a manual pull, surprisingly, for a global company. And I used a little bit of JavaScript and some HTML to create an inventory reporting tool. It was only used internal, didn't need to be pretty, but it allowed us to create branded apparel a lot quicker than we previously would have. And that meant we got to act on things quicker, like a March Madness. So you got to imagine we would produce, thousands of shirts that are, this team won or this team won. We produce both of them in order to be ready for that game day based upon who wins. But if someone runs out of a shirt, we need to know within minutes which one is, so that we can start shipping overnight. So this really helped cut down on time. And again, it was kind of based in that in order to make my marketing job easier at the end of the day. And then, we worked with one specific example that came to mind, worked with Louisville. They had, unfortunately, back in 2016, they had a scandal about bribery. They were bribing high school students so that they would sign up for Louisville and to play for the basketball team. So they actually canceled the rest of the season. It was a winning season, which meant that they didn't get to participate in March Madness. So that was kind of a hit for all the seniors, unfortunately, because they hadn't made it in years previous. So what we did was we actually stood up some lockers all around campus in advance of their final game. We allowed fans to submit thank you notes via social and a hashtag. And they would print inside the lockers, and then Louisville players would be able to go up to lockers or print inside their lockers, and they would get the various notes that were read, and then fans could unlock based upon if they submitted it and we used it. They could unlock these lockers all around campus in order to get branded kind of swag items. So really, this one, obviously, I didn't build the actual tech on in the background, but really what it was having enough knowledge about what we wanted a consumer to do what we wanted to happen on field, and then being able to brief an agency or someone developing the product in order so that vision to come to life, and knowing what was possible, knowing that it was possible for us to, mine social content via hashtag, pull that in, print that out, and then, generate unique codes in order to unlock a locker. So again, it was, having that overall knowledge of computers helped us to create a really great personalized brand experience. When I was at Mechanica, two different things kind of came up. One was they were using a really slow and clunky CRM system. They were using Salesforce, which is actually better now. But back then it wasn't doing so well. HubSpot is kind of seen as one of the better versions for people to use, at least for small businesses too. So again, I was in charge of pitching businesses. I was in charge of doing account-based marketing in order to retain agency business and sign new agency business. That meant we were keeping track of upwards of 100 to 200 customers on a monthly basis, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but these are very personalized experiences and very high value agency contracts. So it required a different way of tracking it, required a different way of engaging. So now we're leaving the customer side of things, talking more about sales. But I actually uprooted the old CRM and implemented a new one, which kind of required, because we track people through websites, we track them through emails, required a base knowledge of technology, just to know like the things that had to be done, the elements that had to be implemented in order to, again, create this more seamless experience for our install base essentially. And then the one on the right, we actually did an escape the room trailer for Liberty Mutual. I was in sales, so I shouldn't have had anything to do with this, but I just lived in Boston, or I do live in Boston, and this was going on. We blew the trailer by accident by plugging it into the wrong power source. So all of the LEDs broke, and so did the computer connecting it all. So this one was fun because we actually got to, I think I was there until 5 a.m, rewiring LEDs in a truck, as well as the computer system, helping someone out with that. So not a great connection, but at the same time, when they needed someone that had a bit of tech knowledge in order to save the business, I was able to essentially jump in. Go into present day, at GPJ, I work on 2 clients. I work on IBM and a little bit of Google as well. Right now, because all experiences, so these big conferences that you saw in the earlier reel, because those aren't going on, we're actually using technology in order to create branded moments and branded experiences in order to move the business forward for our clients. So I think I've executed a bunch of different ones. 2 that stood out that I just wanted to bring. One was KubeCon. It's Kubernetes, so for containers. It's done through the Cloud Native Foundation, so some of the computer folks might recognize that. Really, just to give you an idea of like what these experiences have sometimes bubbled down to. That was a kind of a cut and dry experience, but then what we do is we evolve that, and on the top left for VMworld, for virtualized machines, we actually stood up a puppy cam. People could take a break during the conference. It's no different than the face-to-face conference. We just duplicated that experience. We allowed people to take a puppy personality quiz, and based upon their answers, it actually recommended content that they would enjoy based upon who they were as a person. So, used a quiz builder, but still had a little bit of build and implementation in order to get it live on the website, and a good experience overall. And on the top right, actually working on a project that's using Tableau. So I'm using actually a lot of conditional formulas and analytical formulas to segment down large databases of COVID data in order to come up with an event readiness index. So we're predicting, or trying to predict, the areas that are going to come back for events soon. I think I just talked about personal skills. Teaching yourself things, it shows up well on resumes, but it's also fun too. So that's a picture I took on the left, and then on the right, by being involved in CIS, I kind of taught myself Adobe Photoshop. So I edited out the people, came out with a great image, but that was reason number 1. So all of that was gives you competitive advantage. These next ones are a little bit shorter. So marketing is kind of the art. I like this quote. It's from the New York Times. Art is the art of telling stories so enthralling that people lose track of their wallets. So people need to always kind of lose sight of the fact that marketing at the end of the day is to make a profit. We get lost in the social media and the creation of experiences, but that's done through creating an emotional bond through technology. So marketing is centered around technology. It's all about storytelling in businesses, and they all have a connection in those. By mastering one, you actually enable yourself to succeed in the other. So we kind of say that marketing is the why and tech is the how. So marketing is the why we do it, and tech being the how. And it really, as a marketing student or marketing professional, you can't ignore technology. And that's not to say people haven't ignored before. You can't ignore though the base knowledge required in technology. It's no longer surface level. So I think I grabbed this from a recent study that we were looking at our agency, but 56% of marketers, for those 56%, they'll use creative and technology equally in order to determine where and how they engage their customers. So that means that over half of marketers are using a combination of creative, so thinking about these big brand ideas, as well as deep analytics about where their customers are in order to engage their customers. And in that same study, 30% of them will actually prioritize technology over creativity. So they'll lead with data, and then they'll creative will follow. So it's no longer the time when you can ignore technology, and really this plays a pretty big overall web of a picture, thinking about its intersections into social, into content, how in the future, are we going to have connected customers? I mean, we joke about things like embedding chips into people's skins in order to track them and track their needs. I mean, that's not totally out of the question. As it is, we track everyone after you leave a website, and we follow your interests in order to remarket you ads. So knowing how that works with cookies, and knowing how that works tracking people on websites, heat mapping. I mean, there's many applications of technology that are overall meant to help. I think I got two more. So the third one is it's kind of the computer information systems, or computer science in general, is the block building experiences. So if you look at that phrase, I know we call it CIS, but computer science at base, there's the science portion of it. Just like any science, there's basics to learn and there's building blocks. If you learn the basics, and if you take it on as a minor, don't worry, you're not going to be building apps in your sleep, and you're not going to be able to stop yourself from going after a different major. But really, you'll learn the basics of how humans engage with technology. And we're using technology right now. We use technology every single day. You're on your phone every single day. Humans use it. It's, if you go back a couple hundred years, marketing might have been going to the saloon and telling stories in order to sell products. So really, it's about engaging with that to create better brand experiences. And two examples that I think I just brought up were, if you learn HTML, it influences how you might approach user-centered design and how users engage with websites. And if you learn SQL, the base of creating a Boolean query in order to analyze sentiment in social media posts. So two brief examples that I've used in my own personal life that have helped me become a better marketer. And kind of looking at the why as well too. I think when you get to pitching brands or working for brands, you need a general base knowledge of technology and these things in order to have the water cooler talk, right, or to speak well in the boardroom. And it also gives you competency across different technology products. So a new app, I'm just going to say TikTok, for instance. I mean, knowing how videos are recorded, how they're shared, how devices connect, how brands might be able to use it, the different types of recording software that might be used for it, all those things kind of all cascade down to technology. And then this last one, customer pain points are why businesses exist. Something that people try to ignore sometimes, but we look at customer pain points, but businesses exist to make a profit, and it's primarily capitalizing on the gaps in the needs and wants of customers. And marketing are the folks that study those pain points and elevate them. Technology then bridges that gap, to create experiences that solve pain points. So the latest app is essentially just solving a gap in experiences. We then in marketing communicate that value. So really, you can't have one without the other. It's a never-ending circle. I think with that, I can take some questions. I hope I didn't go too far over too quick.
We have about 5 minutes for questions. Matt, thank you. It's so great to hear what you're up to and so many of your different experiences. If you got a question, either just unmute yourself and speak, or raise your hand and we'll call on you. In terms of classes that you took at Bentley, sorry, did somebody go ahead?
Yeah, I was going to ask about what technologies would you recommend exploring as a college student looking to do marketing and tech combined? Like you
What's
talked
your
about a
name?
little bit about Aditya Koyal.
Thanks, Aditya.
Yeah, so you talked about front end languages and some basic Photoshop and Illustrator skills. Are there any other technologies you would recommend exploring while in college, etc.?
Take a look at things like, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say like I could build an app, but I know the basics of building apps and applications. Look at things like that. Also, really take a look at how cloud-based technologies work. I think hybrid clouds are kind of for us in business, at least the center point of, especially where the applications are running and how customer data is flowing from there into business systems. That's just more of like a thought leadership knowledge base. Front ends, I did HTML, JavaScript, Java, obviously with HTML comes CSS, a little bit of just Boolean and SQL as well. Those are pretty good. And then anything as it relates to design languages. And then also I've still used Visual Basic for Excel on a pretty regular basis too. I didn't think I was going to, but lo and behold, it's still kicking around. So Visual Basic definitely helps in addition.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So Matt, can you stick around? I thought we'd have Raheel go up next, and then anybody who has questions for either of you when we have time at the end.
I think someone did send me a question as well. Let's see,
Okay.
it's in the chat. It was how did you get your foot in the door and get hired with these large businesses, corporations? And then some more highlights about NCAA and Adidas. Really I did a lot of case study competitions when I was at Bentley. So I did one for the Red Sox, one for Under Armour, one for Red Bull. This is outside of classwork. I did one called Brand X. I did another called, Looking for the Intern, I believe it was, for Under Armour. So doing work outside of those actually helps me because I wanted to be in sports marketing when I eventually needed to go market myself to those companies. So I actually applied for an internship back when I was a sophomore from Adidas, and this will give you this will make Janet pretty happy about keeping in contact with the companies, but they actually save your information and they keep track of those things because I actually got a cold call when I graduated Bentley in order to apply for Reebok. So eventually went to there in order to get my foot in that specific door. Adidas Group owns Reebok. They own TaylorMade. They own Adidas, obviously. So that was a pretty easy transition. But really, they were looking for someone to take this vast amount of things that they wanted to do: build stores, campus ambassador programs, media buys. I did photo shoots. I did commercials. You name it. It was done in marketing. I did at trade shows in particular. So looking for that jack of all trades person, and that's actually how I got my current role. They were looking for a pretty standard strategist in order to analyze human insights and build them into experiences. And I pitched myself as kind of a unicorn a little bit, like this weird combination of random smattering of skills, some technology, some marketing, a little bit of sales, social, sports marketing, and all of that kind of comes together. It's kind of the things you experience outside the campfire, you bring back to tell at the campfire, and those all led to me getting the current role I have now.
Thank you. I remember you and I went and gave a presentation at was it Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, and it was about how college students use social media, and you basically went in and showed them all the apps that were on your cell phone.
Yeah.
Back at the time, because that's what they wanted to know. Could you pop your LinkedIn info in the chat so people who want to keep in touch with you can do that?
Sure.
And it's so cool to catch up with you. So thank you so much for being with us today. And if there's time at the end, we'll come back. I want to also, and your name is still the first one on the corner on the name tags.
I helped design the room, so you got to leave me there.
You're there, and I hope that when we can all take off our masks, you'll be back here in person to celebrate with us again.